All right, welcome back to Strategic Career Building with Dr. Pat. Today's topic is how to create a career development plan. If you don't mind, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and like the video. We're going to go ahead and jump right into this topic. This one's going to be a little bit more lengthy, simply because, creating a career development plan is so important. And if you get this right, you'll really be setting yourself up for your entire career. You'll have lots of success. So we've got lots of great lessons to talk about today. The first topic, what is a career development plan? How is it, generally described? A career development plan is generally described as it's a document that describes your career goals and the path you'll take to achieve it. Think about that for a minute. What are your career goals, and essentially how are you going to get there? And that's what we're really going to talk about today. Like I said, like we did in the last video, we're going to read one of the articles from the University of Phoenix blog that I published. We're going to watch a couple of videos, and then I'm also going to show you a couple, examples of a career development plan, and I'll give you guys some takeaways so that you'll be able to go back and start your own. So this will be an all-encompassing lesson, and by the time you're finished with this, you should have a good grasp on how to start a career development plan. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. All right, and this is an article that I published with the University of Phoenix blog. All right, 5 ways to seriously create a career development plan. All right, let's go ahead and scroll down here. Right. When it comes to finances and retirement, people are generally eager to plan. They meet with advisors, budget their income, and learn all about things like 529 plans, Roth IRAs, 401ks in general. When it comes to how to make the money necessary for both your lifestyle and retirement, however, a lot of people sing a different tune. Instead of planning for their careers the way they would plan for their investment portfolios, people tend to look ahead by only days, months, with no mid to long-term strategy regarding what to achieve. I think it's time that we actually change that narrative. Creating a career development plan forces us to take a big picture view on what we can and want to achieve over a 20-year period, just as we do with our retirement plans. This is a really important phrase that I like to use, on my website. Knowledge acquisition is a compounding asset. Most people say that your retirement assets, your funds, they've kind of compound over time. I really believe that knowledge acquisition is a compounding asset. And I'm going to show you the methodology for why I believe that in a future lesson, but kind of keep that with you. Knowledge acquisition is a compounding asset. All right, the ABCs of a career development plan. So how do you create a career development plan? Depending on who you ask, you may get a different answer. A colleague or fellow student may give you their best advice based on their knowledge and personal experience, while a parent or friend may speak to your strengths and career goals without having a firm grasp on your particular industry or your skill set. The best way to gain that X-ray vision we all desire, and which allows us to develop the most comprehensive career development plan, is to take a structured approach and ask someone in front of you on your career path. So, for example, if I'm a vice president in program management, the person that I want to be my mentor is going to be the president of the company, the COO or the CFO, someone that's actually been in a position that I'm looking to get to eventually one day. This might be a mentor, a coach, a professor, an executive, or anyone who has climbed the ladder to get to where you're trying to go. The idea is to strategically obtain knowledge, wisdom, and skills that provide the greatest return on investment. In this way, you can improve your performance as a professional and with regard to achieving your personal goals. Think about that for a second. Let's look at this quote. The idea is to strategically obtain knowledge and wisdom and skills that provide you the greatest return on investment. Strategically obtain knowledge. Let's say, for example, I know that my goal is to, work on the help desk, an IT help desk. Well, I'm going to strategically go learn about an A+ certification, Network Plus, Security Plus. That's me strategically finding a body of knowledge like A+ to go gain, so that way I can qualify for that position. wisdom. If you've got someone that's an IT manager that's managing a help desk, how did they get to where they are? What lessons can they pass back to you to help you along your journey? And the actual skills themselves, right? Maybe it's PC repair. Maybe I'm opening up a computer and I'm replacing the fans. I'm replacing the hard drive. The actual skills to actually do the actual job. The idea is strategically is a key word, obtain knowledge, wisdom, and skills that provide the greatest return on investment. All right, here. And let's go ahead and dive into this. 5 steps for creating your personalized career development plan. Once you've identified a mentor, it's time to start planning ahead. Here are 5 steps for creating a career development plan. Now, before we jump into this, my opinion, a document that I actually created for myself, I think it was back in 2011, I believe, was called an education certification experience framework. So basically, I created a tracker in order to track all of my education, all my certifications, and all my experience. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video for you. And once I play this video, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing for a sec. I'm going to go ahead and play this video. We're going to watch the video to describe the ECE framework, and then we're going to come back and we're going to continue reading. So, share screen. This module is going to focus on goal setting, creating a framework for your success, and the methodology behind the Professional Career Transformations course. Let's start by diving into the Education Certification Experience Framework. I personally believe that the most important building blocks to creating a 6-figure career is education, certification, and experience. The ECE framework will help you develop a big picture view of where you came from and where you're going. It's a way to assist you in visualizing your success. It will guide you through logging, tracking, and forecasting your 6-figure career progress. Having a way to visually track your progress will help you be accountable. If you can see what you're doing, you can immediately understand what you're lacking, where the gaps are, and what improvements you need to make. This framework can also help you realize what you're doing right and encourage you to maintain good habits. So what do I mean by education, certification, and experience? By education, I mean that in the traditional sense. Colleges, universities, and trade schools. More specifically, places like University of Florida, Wellington College, UC Davis, St. Petersburg College, Madison Area Technical College, University of Phoenix, military advanced individual training, and the like. The certification portion refers to governing bodies that oversee industry-specific licensing and certification. Examples of this are Program Management Institute, like PMP, International Information Systems Security Consortium certifications, like CISSP, Cisco, like CCNA, Microsoft, like MCSE, or CompTIA, like A+ or Security Plus. Experience concerns your job history, any professional experience you had, and the skills you picked up along the way. So IT manager, help desk technician, network engineer, program manager, director of operations, business analyst, financial analyst, or business development manager. All of that is experience. Within those experiences lie the skills that you should add to your ECE framework. So as you advance in your career, the goal is to keep adding to your ECE framework. Each position gives you new, relevant experiences. Make sure you're tracking all of your skill sets so that when you want to move forward, you can point to things that you've learned and how you've used them on your job. Tracking your progress with the ECE frameworks gives you a chance to clearly outline in your own mind your abilities and value, which you can then express to your employer and lobby for advancement. For future help with understanding this concept, I provided you with a blank framework and a version of my own personal ECE framework. If you're looking at the ECE framework from left column to right, what you'll notice is in the very left column, you'll list out all of your education. In the center, you'll list all of your certifications, and on the right side, you'll list all of your experience. You'll start at the bottom of the ECE framework with your first year of experience. For example, if mine is 1998, and you'll go all the way up to 2022. And you're gonna list every single accomplishment you've had in all 3 categories from bottom to top. This is a vital part of tracking your progress and building your career. All right, we are back, and I'm going to stop share for a quick second. So that was an example of what the actual ECE framework, kind of breaking down all the different categories essentially. So let's go ahead and go back to the article here. All right. Number one, create an education, certification, and experience framework. As in life, you need to know where you've been in your career before you can know where you're going. In this way, you can chart a 5-year plan or roadmap for career development and where you want to go. The most effective way to create this plan is to develop what I call an education, certification, and experience ECE framework, which ultimately offers that big picture view. Follow the example using the spreadsheet with the years in the left column. Moving right from there, you'll have a column for education, one for certifications you earn, and a third column titled experience to record the milestones you hit. Think salary increases and title changes. After logging your accomplishments to date, add 5 additional rows for the next 5 years of progress and leave them blank. Now, once you've logged pretty much everything below that you've accomplished in your life, everything from high school all the way up to maybe your associate's degree, maybe you've got an A+ certification, maybe you worked in retail, maybe you worked on a help desk. After you have all that mapped out in one central view, take a step back and look at it. Now that you can see your career in its entirety, what do you see? Where have you succeeded? Where can you grow? Creating an ECE framework will assist you in visualizing your success. It will guide you in logging, tracking, and forecasting your progress through your career development plan, which helps you maintain momentum. Having a way to visually track your progress will keep you accountable too. If you can see what you're doing, you can immediately understand what you're lacking, where the gaps are, and what improvements you can make. This framework can also help you realize what you're doing right and encourage you to maintain good habits. Now, let's go ahead and actually look at an actual example of an ECE framework. So this is my actual ECE framework right here, if you guys can see it. So I actually started this, literally, I started this pretty much back in 2011 when I wanted to start looking at, hey, what have I accomplished today? Where am I going? So I actually started, if you all look all the way down here on row 33, in 1998, I graduated from high school and I had a little bit of retail experience. And then I went to Hill College and I got my certified electronics technician certificate, and also had a little bit of temp work, worked in a legal office, a little bit of electronics work. I used to build power cables for a hydraulic drilling company, a few things like that. And then after that, I got my associate's degree in computer science. I joined the military, went to the basic training, and then I actually became a signal support specialist. That was actually a job I had in the military. And as you can see, starting from the top here, we have the years themselves. We have my education column, we have my certification column, and my experience column. And I've charted every single year of my career. Now, you see how that makes it easy? And we're going to talk about, the goal of it, right? The goal is to accomplish one major goal every single year. And we're going to talk about goal setting here shortly. But you see how every year I went to a training course here, Blue Force Tracker course, and then I got a promotion to Sergeant E5 here, and then I got a CCNA certification here, and then I was a Satellite Operations Center admin here. I was help desk there, a lead there, ITIL certification, project management, CISSP, NOC manager here. You see how every year I accomplished a different goal, and that's what you want to do. That's how you build momentum in your career, essentially. All right. And in the description below, I'm actually going to put a link to my website. If you guys actually go to my website, you guys will find a blank copy of the ECE framework on my website as a freebie. So that way you'll be able to download an ECE framework and create one for yourself. And, I'm going to stop sharing for a quick sec. And, the goal of the ECE framework is, let's say, mine is just what works for me. My goal is to give you the tools, and then maybe you can expand on it. Maybe you want to add a column for skills, or take my worksheet and then maybe expand on it and tailor it for your best use. And I think that's an excellent way to use it. All right, let's go ahead and share screen again. All right. And let's see here. And before we actually move on any further, right? Obviously, we talked about the ECE framework. So why are education, certification, and experience so important? What's the methodology behind it? How much education do you need? How many certifications do you need? How much experience do you need? How do you find the balance? I want to play another video for you to give you the methodology behind the ECE framework. And it was a really just good way. I thought, this is a good way to explain it to people. Remember that term, knowledge acquisition is a compounding asset. Just kind of remember that as you watch this next video. But this is a really key point in this next video, my methodology for the whole course, that it kind of makes sense, as you build on your education, as you build on your certification, as you build on your experience, and the value you get for essentially, completing each one of these steps. So let's go ahead and play this video. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the sports organization called the UFC. For those of you who aren't, let me give you a quick rundown. The Ultimate Fighting Championship is a mixed martial arts organization where individuals from different MMA disciplines compete for championship status in different weight classes. It's similar to boxing in its structure, if not the actual sport. About 5 to 10 years ago, there was a popular fighter named Georges St-Pierre. When Georges St-Pierre started out, his primary fighting method was based on his karate experience. However, you need to excel in more than one discipline to be a top-level MMA fighter. That's why Georges St-Pierre enlisted the help of jiu-jitsu coach John Donahere, who he would later credit for his career success. Because he was able to close his knowledge gap, St-Pierre was now proficient in 2 disciplines, which is what got him on top. You see, whether the fight was on the feet or on the mat, St-Pierre could engage whichever training was best suited for that situation. As his career continued, St-Pierre trained in additional disciplines like Muay Thai kickboxing, traditional boxing, and judo. With 5 different skill sets to draw from, he was able to perform at his highest level. Do you see where I'm going with this? If you follow Georges St-Pierre's lead, you should have 4 to 5 different skill sets that you can engage in different scenarios. By doing this, you're not only able to use the best discipline for the given situation, you also create a new way of working. This new way of working or operating in the workplace is groundbreaking. By combining different disciplines to perform at your highest level, you and your work are now transformational. What happens when you combine institutional knowledge you've learned during higher education with knowledge you've learned during professional certification? The answer is you combine philosophy with functional knowledge and create a new way of working within your profession. The dynamic combination of skill sets is what leads to a 6-figure career. All right, and let's just think about that concept for a minute. Let's just say, what happens if you go get a bachelor's degree, let's say in computer science, but yet you've never worked in industry, as far as getting experience, or you've never, completed a certification like an A+ to kind of get that targeted training, for an actually industry, standard. Then you've got the education, but maybe you're lacking certification and experience. What happens if you do have, a bachelor's degree, the institutional knowledge, and then you have experience working in the field, and then you combine that with, let's say, like an A+ or a project management professional certification? All of a sudden, you're pulling knowledges from all of those different functional areas. Now, not only do you have the experience of doing the hands-on job, you've expanded your educational knowledge. Now you've got a wider base to pull from. You've taken finance classes, you've taken operations classes, maybe you've taken Java programming, or you've taken information security courses, things like that. So you've got a wide base to pull from. Then you go get an A+. Now you can pull from either one of those disciplines as you're growing in your career, and that's why knowledge acquisition is a compounding asset. When you combine an A+ with a bachelor's degree, with 2-3 years of experience, you're not just the person with 2-3 years of experience, you're a combination of them all. And now you have a new way of operating in the workplace. And that's what's transformational. Building a balanced career based on education, as high as you'd like to go, getting as much education as you need for the career you desire, getting the certifications required for the career you desire, and getting the right experience at the right time so that way you can grow in a balanced fashion. So, and that's the methodology behind, building a solid career development plan, is strategically balanced, like building a career with the right certifications, the right experience, and the right education at the right time. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to sharing my screen again. All right. And let's talk about goal setting. Number two, set goals to achieve your career path structure. Now, you notice, in the ECE framework, you saw things like, the different certifications I had, like, PMP and the positions I had, like project manager or program manager. And then the degrees I had, like a bachelor's in IT and a master's in business, a doctorate in management. Those are legitimate goals, right? So let's just have a conversation about goal setting. There's so much talk about goals these days that people often tune it out like white noise. For this article, I need you to actually hear me and commit to setting goals that will help you fill out your ECE framework and chart your success career path, and chart a successful career path. You want to set and accomplish one major goal per year. A regular goal is to wake up an hour early or eat one salad per day. When we say major goals, we mean something like earning a degree, completing a certification, or getting a promotion at work. It's not enough to write it down. You also have to ensure you're getting SMART goals. These are goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. A good example is, let's say, if you're an IT manager, let's say you are an IT manager, and in year one, you want to earn a project management certification. In year two, you want to switch jobs to become a project manager. And in year three, you want to finish your bachelor's or master's degree. Now, imagine if you completed these types of SMART goals every year for a 20-year career. How much momentum and structure would your career development plan have? What type of strategic advantage would you have over your peers in the workplace? Map these goals out on your ECE framework for your 5-year career development plan. And let's go ahead and go back to my ECE framework for just a quick second. And as you can see, pretty much every single year, let's just even start back here at, let's start it in 2016. Let's just say here let's go back to 2007 first. Let's just say right here, I had a CCNA. Then I did a satellite systems course. Then a couple years later, I did, ITIL version 3 certification. Then I did PMP. You can see how every year I have a different either promotion at work, a certification, or a degree that I'm completing, or some, master's, bachelor's here. You see every year I'm completing one goal. And at the end of it, you can see that I've got several certifications, several degrees, several promotions. So that's the idea of using the ECE framework and using SMART goals to achieve at least one major goal per year. So like I said, this year you're getting your associate's degree, you're working towards that. And the next year, maybe you get a promotion at work, maybe the next year after that, you get your A+. That's a good trajectory. All right. Let's go ahead and go back to the article. Let's go back to, in fact, let's go ahead and play one more video here. All right, go back here. One more video. This is a great point in the course to talk about goal setting. There's so much talk about goals these days that people often tune it out like white noise. For our purposes, I need you to actually hear me and commit to setting goals that will help you fill out your ECE framework. You want to set and accomplish one major goal per year. A regular goal is to wake up an hour early or eat one salad per day. When I say major goals, I mean you want to set your sights on earning a degree, completing a certification, or getting a promotion. One thing I learned in Vistage executive coaching is that you should be setting quarterly and yearly goals. Vistage recommends at least 3 personal and 3 business goals per quarter. These don't have to be major goals, just something to get you accustomed to being productive and driven. I recommend setting SMART goals. This means you are setting specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely goals. An example of what I mean by SMART goals, you can reference my ECE framework. I think it's a great example of goals I clearly set and accomplish each year. If you look at my personal ECE, you can see that I created career impacting SMART goals to help elevate my status and position within my organization. I'm not just talking the talk. In terms of professional certifications, I made a long-term SMART goal to achieve 1 certification a year. In 2011, I passed the ITIL version 3 exam. In 2012, I passed the PMP exam. In 2013, I passed the Security Plus exam. In 2014, I passed the CISSP exam. Then again in each ensuing year. Regarding my education, I set a SMART goal to earn my bachelor's degree in 2008 and then my master's in 2009. I would later set a SMART goal to complete my doctorate in 2018. These were time-consuming but major accomplishments. For my experience-related SMART goals, I wanted to get promoted every 2 years. With each promotion, I wanted to climb higher, earning more responsibility, pay, and trust. In 2010, I was made lead technician at DRS. In 2012, I was promoted to country manager. Then in 2016, I was promoted to PM. In 2018, I was promoted to director. By 2021, I had become vice president of the company. These are just some of the promotions I earned, but you get the point. Basically, each year I accomplished a SMART goal to either get a certification, a promotion at work, or a new degree. I did this every year for 15 years. As you can see, SMART goals don't have to be short-term. They can be goals that you set and achieve over time. Each line of my ECE reflects a specific goal that was measurable. I could obviously point to the accomplishment and see my progress. It was realistically attainable based on my methods and career trajectory. My goals were relevant to my life and to the work I was doing that would ultimately add value. They were timely because upon achieving them, they immediately worked towards my overall goal of having a career with momentum. More specifically, each goal was SMART because it applied directly to me meeting specific labor requirements that I needed to either get a pay grade increase, qualify for a higher level labor category position, or provide specific peer-reviewed knowledge that would aid in my acquisition of experience. Back in 2008, while I was working for Proactive Communications as a site lead, satellite system installer on a government contract, one of the requirements to become a Network Administrator Level 3 was to obtain my Cisco Certified Network Associate CCNA certification. Although I was the site lead, my company was billing the government as a Level 2 network admin. At the time, I invested my own money, which was about $4K, to send myself to a CCNA boot camp in Sacramento, California. Once I passed the CCNA, my company was able to pay me $10K more per year. I was then able to obtain a contract title of Network Admin Level 3. I also learned the industry standard Cisco network expert knowledge at the associate level, which taught me real-world technical skills on how to program Cisco routers and switches. Do you see how the goal of getting my CCNA certification was SMART? I intentionally got this certification and it increased my pay, position, knowledge, and experience level. This was also a win for my organization because they could charge the government more money. Not to mention, now I make $10K more for the rest of my life. Do you see how accomplishing SMART goals compounds over time? You may find it motivating to enlist the community, friends, and coworkers to hold you accountable to your goals. If you make your quest public knowledge, you are less likely to back out of the pursuit. Seems intimidating, but it's a great tactic for staying motivated and achieving your SMART goals. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next section. Section 3, create a 2 to 3 year strategy for progressing in your career. 2 to 3 year strategy. What does that mean? After you have your goals in place, the next thing you need is a career path strategy. Early in your career, your goal should be to change functional responsibilities every 2 to 3 years. What does that mean? Change functional responsibilities. That means that you want to either get a lateral move to learn a new job skill, or you want to get a promotion. The knowledge you need to accumulate, the knowledge you need to accumulate to become an organizational executive, entrepreneur, or professor, for example, heavily depends on the knowledge you have acquired over the course of your career. That, in short, means you need to invest in educating yourself. For instance, what do you think would happen if you stayed at one company doing one job for 15 years? Though your position responsibilities may evolve, you would notice people coming in from the outside and getting the roles you wished you were getting. Your issue would be that you hadn't diversified your skill set. In those same 15 years, however, what if you went from working at the help desk to working as a system administrator, then an information assurance engineer, then as a site manager, then a project manager, and finally as a portfolio manager? You'd be pursuing new opportunities and you'd be diversifying your skill set. Some can even argue you'd have access to these opportunities, at least in part, because you were diversifying your skill set. This strategy will allow you to work in different functional departments, experience different organizational structures, and create a more extensive and diversified plan for career development that someone who stays in someone who stays in one position. So while loyalty is great, you also want to display an eagerness to improve, achieve, and ascend the organizational ladder. Now, let's just talk about that for a quick second. What does that mean? Every 2 to 3 years, have a career progression strategy. I want to show you another sheet here. So this right here is what I call a career ladder. So what I've done right here is essentially, this is actually a part of my course. What I've done is I've taken every functional position that I know within most organizations that I've worked at, and what I've done is I've charted out the next 5 positions that I could possibly get to in each one of those functional skill sets. So let's say, for example, right? Let's say if you were a project analyst. My project analyst means kind of like project management professional. You start off as a project analyst. Then if you were to get promoted, level 2, you'd go to a deputy project manager. Level 3, you'd go to a project manager. Level 4, you'd go to a program manager. And then level 5, you go to a portfolio manager. Those of you that are familiar with PMP, project is pretty much, let's say you're managing the development of iPhones. Program means you're managing 2 projects. Let's say you're developing iPhones and iPads. And then portfolio means you're managing multiple programs. So you have projects, you have a project, 2 projects equal a program, and essentially 2 programs equal a portfolio, or a mix of the latter. Let's just say, you're working in finance. You start off as an accounts payable clerk. What are you going to be when you have a 2-3 year progression strategy? What you want to do is say, okay, right now I'm an accounts payable clerk, and then in 2 to 3 years from now, I want to be a sales administrator. Then 2 to 3 years from there, I want to be a financial analyst. Then 2 to 3 years from there, I want to be a comptroller, director of finance. And then 2 or 3 years from there, I want to be a CFO. So you see how that's 2 or 3 years times 5, that's 15 years you're going to map out. So whatever functional path you decide to take, you want to identify whatever the next 5 positions in front of you are going to be and create a career ladder for yourself. So let's just take, for example, those of you that are in the IT realm. Let's just say you want to start let's say you're in cybersecurity. You want to start as an information security analyst. Then you want to maybe a security systems admin, maybe an information assurance security engineer, maybe an information assurance manager I even kind of put a couple of certifications that you need for that, a CISP, and then maybe your final position is going to be a CIO, a chief information officer. What if you start on the help desk? I've got help desk over here somewhere. We're at the help desk. Yep. Let's say you start right here as information technology call center technician. Then you go and get your A+ and you become a help desk technician. Then you get your network plus and you become like a help desk lead. Then you get your ITIL version 4, which is like the technology library. You become an IT manager. And then after that, you become the senior IT manager. And then even down here, you look at, from there, your manager, director, vice president, chief operations officer, or chief technology officer, then president, executive officer. So the goal is to create a career ladder for yourself. Whatever functional career path you want to go in, you want to map out the next 5 positions you want to hold in your career. All right. Go back to the article. All right, and let's go ahead and play another video for you. Let's go and play a video on 2 to 3 year progression strategy. Once you have all your goals in place, the next thing is you need a strategy. Early in your career, your goal should be to change functional responsibilities every 2 to 3 years. The accumulation of knowledge that you'll need to become a vice president one day is heavily dependent on the knowledge that you've acquired over the course of your career. For instance, what do you think happens if you stay in one company doing one thing for 15 years? Though your position responsibilities may evolve, you will notice that people coming from the outside always getting the promotions you wish you were getting. Your issue is that you have not diversified your skill set. In the same 15 years, I went from help desk to SATCOM admin, to network admin, to lead technician, to country manager, to Pacific AOR manager, to program manager. I only worked for 3 companies, but I've held many positions. I was able to work in different functional departments within my own company. I was able to experience different organizational structures. My experience is more extensive than someone who stays put. So while loyalty is great, you also want to display an eagerness to improve, achieve, and ascend the organizational ladder. This is how you slowly increase your salary. If you stay in one position, you may only get a cost of living increase each year. But if you get promoted or move to another company, you reset your pay scale and request higher rates. Why am I saying this? you have to be willing to take risks. The worst thing they can do is tell you that you aren't good enough for the position, in which case you just stay put and work on improving your skills. If you're not good enough right now, you can put in the work and fill any knowledge gaps you have and be the right fit in another year. So to develop your professional progression strategy, you should begin to catalog your journey. Our next task is to help you create a 5-year roadmap to put you on track to earning, sustaining, and growing your 6-figure career. We are here to identify your strengths in education, certification, and experience, and exploit those opportunities to make you better. We want to identify your gaps in knowledge and make a plan to round you out to give you the best opportunity for career advancement. Now that you know my story and some of the basics, let's dive into more complex aspects of this course. I'll see you in the next module. All right. Number 4, enlist mentorship and professional coaching. Let me go ahead and turn the camera off for a quick second. I can't tell you how valuable this is. Mentorship and coaching, it's probably your superpower to getting to the next level. I mean, just imagine the insight. Let's say that, my goal is to be a CEO one day. The insight that a CEO that's already ascended to that position can help pass down to me that would help me shortcut the process, eliminate waste, become more efficient. I mean, executive, coaching is priceless. And we're going to talk about this. All right, go ahead and share screen again. All right, enlist mentorship and professional coaching. Of all the tools you have in your toolkit, mentorship and professional coaching are the most important when it comes to career development. That means you should actively seek out good leadership and sound guidance. Mentors can teach you technical skills to perform your job while also providing wisdom and insight into your career development trajectory. Mentorship and professional coaching will help you learn better management skill, improve your efficiency, increase your confidence, and gain self-awareness. Mentors and professional coaching are not just there to co-sign everything you do, but to provide corrective feedback as well. And learning from an executive leader who operates in your career functional path will not only impact your career progression, but also put you ahead of the competition. All right, let's go ahead and stop share one more time. So, there's a group out there called Vistage Executive Coaching. So even to this day, even as a vice president of program management, I've got a doctorate degree. I'm one of 1,000 people. I'm actually one of like 400 people in the world that actually have their project management professional certification, their program management professional certification, and their portfolio. All of the PMI certs, I've got them all. And even I continue to seek out professional coaching, guidance, mentors. One thing that my organization set me up with, they actually sent me to what's called Vistage Executive Coaching. And this is maybe something later on down the road, but you'll kind of get the point. And essentially the idea is that, if you want to be a more efficient executive, for myself was a director and a vice president at the time, we want to give you a 5-star CEO executive coach that can teach you how to be more efficient. Basically put you in a collaborative group with other vice presidents and directors and CEOs, and you guys all kind of learn from all of your organizational experiences, and you share your challenges, and they help you resolve your issues. And it's just a good collaborative working group, and you just gain so much from that collaboration and building each other up as a team. You want to build communities of different professionals in your industry that you associate with. Let's just say I'm a help desk guy, right? And I work for, a local organization here in St. Petersburg. Maybe I've got a friend that works help desk out in Tampa. And then I've got another friend in Clearwater that works help desk. What are the things that we can all share together about our different, we've all worked for different companies with different missions. We can learn from each other's skill sets and knowledge if we create a community with each other and grow together. So mentorship and coaching is amazing. I remember, my first executive coach was Cindy Hesterman. She was a former chief financial officer for a large, financial institution. And she was my executive coach as a director. The knowledges that she imparted in me, I would have never been privy to, had it not been for her, sitting down and looking at my career trajectory, even as a director and vice president, saying, hey, let's map out what you want to do for the next 5 years. Let's hold you accountable for completing those personal goals. I want to learn Spanish, those professional goals. My goals, at the time was as a director was to become vice president. My next goal was to become president, things like that. So, it's just invaluable having, leadership. And one of the things that I believe I've done smartly over my career is I've actively sought out, mentors and guides throughout my career. I can remember back in 2006, I was actually a satellite systems installer in Baghdad, Iraq. And I used to fly around, Iraq, from city to city to Fallujah, Ramadi, Baghdad, and starting installing satellite systems on rooftops for, giving internet services for the Iraqi army and the Iraqi police forces. I can remember I went to Camp Ramadi, and my mission was to install a satellite system for internet for the Ramadi District Police Headquarters. So I'm literally on a rooftop installing a satellite system, with my full battle rattle on, and in a combat zone where it's a complete war zone in Fallujah and Ramadi. And I remember, I was in the operations center as I was running internet cable for computers and phones, and I met a Marine colonel who actually was a Marine colonel helicopter pilot in the Marines as a reservist. And then in his private life, he was a private practice, insurance attorney. He was part of 1%. He was one of the top 1% of attorneys in the world. And he was based out of Los Angeles. And you meet someone of that caliber. I mean, how many people do you know that are flying helicopters and they're also a 1% attorney? And I think he said he used to have Christmas dinner with Clarence Thomas, one of the Supreme Court justices. So, when you meet people of that caliber, you want to take the opportunity to ingratiate yourself to them, to go up there and say, hey, I'd like to meet you. Is there any professional advice that you can give me as when I was a 26-year-old satellite systems installer, basically a help desk guy installing satellite antennas on rooftops throughout the country. And he said, hey, if you want to get into management one day, you need to get your bachelor's, you need to get your master's, you need to get certifications, get more experience, take every single promotion they offer you, you take it. And that was one of the mentors I gained there. And I would collect mentors throughout my career. And that's just an excellent thing to do. All right. Let's go ahead and go back to the article. All right. And number 5, develop a resume that tells your career life story. And, one of the things we talk about is, your resume is probably the one document that it's probably the most important document you're ever going to have in your career, right? That's the one document you're going to take from when the day you start your career as retail until you become an executive. That's the one document that's going to stay with you for the rest of your career. So it's important that you get that right. And I kind of came up with, hey, why don't you tell your career life story on your resume? Like, who are you really as an employee? How are you a transcendent talent that can actually affect an organization, and why they need to hire you, and what you really bring to the table? So let's go ahead and read number 5 here. Let's see. All right. Your accomplishments and the skills you acquire majorly impact your career development plan and the career path you take. That's why you need a strong, well-organized resume that lists your qualifications, best attributes, and the on-the-job experience, while also highlighting the accomplishments significant to your career. Not surprisingly, then, it can be argued your resume is one of the most important documents you will carry throughout your career. So how do you make it as impactful as possible? You turn your resume into your career life story. For example, at the beginning of your resume, instead of generically listing out objectives for the position you're applying for, or jumping directly into your education and certifications, create a high-level qualifications section. And I'm going to show you an example of a resume here shortly. This introduces your career life story and should provide an overview of who you are as a candidate and what you bring to the table. In this way, just by reading the first paragraph of your resume, the reviewer now has intimate knowledge of who you are holistically as a candidate. Another example may be to change up the formatting. After your qualifications section, for instance, you might use bulleted lists in the subsequent sections for education and certification, professional development, training and boot camps, and skills and technologies that you know. When you tell your career life story in your resume, it allows mentors, professional coaches, hiring managers, human resource departments, and executive management to envision the possibilities of your career development. With that vision, of course, comes the ability for such people to also offer you strong strategic guidance regarding your career development. By creating a career life story on your resume, you are essentially helping mentors help you. And by developing a career path for yourself via a comprehensive development plan, you are helping yourself. All right, and let's take a quick look at just an example of my resume. Now, you probably don't need a qualifications section quite this long, but let's just take a look at the top here. Obviously, I've got my name at the top. I've got my certifications kind of listed. It's kind of well organized. And obviously, this is for the six-figure career blueprint course. So it's got my logo on there. So qualifications, highly skilled adjunct professor, vice president of program management, portfolio manager. You see, I'm kind of listing all of the top level, functional, skills that I have essentially, overseas regional manager. I used to be a country manager for like the free internet cafe program for the troops in Afghanistan. That was like $100 million a year program where I used to manage all the free internet sites in in Kandahar and Bagram Air Base and Jalalabad and Shindan and all those bases down in Afghanistan. Overseas regional manager, senior C4I manager, network operations center manager. I managed a network operations center in Qatar. Site lead with over 20 years experience with DoD programs. A proven leader currently serving as VP of program support of a few contracts. And then if you kind of scroll down here, you'll see I've bulleted out all of my education. If you've got a clearance, it's good to list that. Doctorate in management, when I got it, master's in business, bachelor's, associates, electronics technician, my high school diploma, the different certifications I have, plus the actual certification numbers. So you just want to have a well-structured, so that way, when someone looks at my resume, they go, oh, this guy's, got a few certifications, he's got some experience. They can, it's clean way to kind of visualize, okay, I get a gist for who this person is. What are some of the professional development? Oh, this person's done project management boot camp, CISSP. I think I did the PMP boot camp in Dubai. I did like the CISSP boot camp in Dubai as well. I've gone to DC and done training, different things like that, different skills and technologies that I'm accustomed to. And then you go into listing out, your actual, the job titles that you've held. So. All right. And I think that is it. That is how you create a career development plan. You may need to watch this a second time, but remember, if you guys actually go to my website, yoursixfigurecareercoach.com, you'll be able to download the freebie of your own free ECE framework. You'll get a copy of my ECE framework, a video to go with it, and then a blank one for you to fill out for yourself and start your journey. One of the things I like to tell people, in closing here, it's not about outworking people for a day. It's about outworking people for a decade. That's how you get ahead. Some people can get a little momentum going for a day or two or a week or maybe a month or maybe even a year. But it's that person that puts in that work over the decade. That's how you create true freedom and true success. In my opinion, freedom comes through discipline. If you have the discipline to have a structured career, the opportunities and choices in your life are going to be endless. So remember, it's not about outworking people for a day. It's about outworking them for a decade. All right. Well, I think that concludes this lesson. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video and share it, and maybe even hit the notification bell so that way the next time another video is coming out. But definitely appreciate your guys' time. This is video number 2 of 12, and probably sometime next week I'll post number 3. So I hope this was valuable to you guys, and I'll be seeing you in the next lesson. All right, signing out here.